Jeff left Katie and Cherise in a secure location to find a place that was more secured where they could stay for a longer time. Jeff found a building which was enclosed by a wall and decided this place might be good. As he made his way into the courtyard, he noticed something was beating on a sign that he could not see. He thought to himself, "Damn, they have an invisible bear." When he entered one of the apartment buildings, he took the stairs. As he climbed the stairs, he decided to block some of the stairwell doors with debris from the building. He opened a few doors to find empty apartments, one-room apartments with old beds and rotten sheets and blankets. Apparently, the building has been empty for a very long time. As he went up the stairs to the higher floors, he continued to block the doors to the stairs. His concern was, by blocking the stairs, he would hear anyone attempting to follow him into the building. Jeff came to one apartment and noticed the door was partly open. When he looked inside, he saw two decomposed bodies on the bed. They looked like they were older people who used a broom to secure the door and just laid on the bed and died while waiting for help to arrive. Jeff continued to go up the stairs and block the stairwell doors as he stopped at each floor to see if someone was alive inside the building. When he opened the next door, he found two men in the unit who were alive and happy to see someone else who was not one of the unknown things trying to kill everyone on the planet. The two people in the room had equipment and some cameras set up around the building. They showed Jeff the camera feed, and Jeff could still see something playing with the metal sign in the courtyard. As they spoke, Jeff told them to keep their voices down because they were getting loud. Jeff went back to the secure area where he left Katie and the Cherise and brought them to the apartment building and introduced them to the two guys who were inside the last apartment looking at the camera feed. Jeff noticed that the two people inside the apartment that he found did not secure the doors to the stairwell. Whenever they heard something, they just got real quiet and hoped they were not found. Jeff decided that the two did not know what they were doing and survived by luck because whatever was killing people on the planet has not entered the building where they were hiding. Jeff said to Katie and Cherise, "We need to secure this building first and try to figure out what the thing is that is playing with the sign in the courtyard." Katie was about to leave when Jeff told her, "Stop. No one goes out alone. We will leave Cherise upstairs to monitor the camera feed that is watching the invisible bear or whatever is playing with the sign in the courtyard. We'll start securing this building starting with the third floor we need to make it look like the stairs are blocked by debris that fell from the building." The war-torn city. Shadows in the courtyard. Jeff's voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed the weight of responsibility. Katie adjusted her clothes, reluctantly nodding at his warning. Cherise, though young, had already learned to mask her fear. She sat near the monitors, her small hands clenched into fists as the flickering feed showed the courtyard, where the invisible thing toyed with the sign like a predator testing its prey. Securing the building. Jeff and Katie began their work on the third floor. They dragged broken furniture, shattered doors, and chunks of plaster into the stairwell, arranging them to look like natural collapse. Every scrape of wood against concrete echoed through the empty halls, making them pause, listening for movement. The silence was heavy, broken only by the faint metallic clang from outside, the unseen creature still battering the sign. Katie whispered, "It knows we're here." Jeff shook his head. "No, it's distracted. But if it ever stops playing, that's when we worry." The two survivors. The two men Jeff had found earlier, Mark and Elias, watched nervously from their apartment. Their equipment hummed quietly, cameras feeding grainy images of the courtyard and the streets beyond. They had survived by chance, not skill, and Jeff knew it. He didn't trust their instincts, but he needed their eyes. "Keep the feeds running," Jeff ordered. "If it moves away from the sign, I want to know immediately." Mark nodded, swallowing hard. Elias muttered, "You think it's a bear?" Jeff didn't answer. He didn't want to give shape to something that defied sight. The Courtyard Mystery. On the monitor, the sign bent and twisted as if gripped by massive claws. The metal shrieked, vibrating through the speakers. Cherise flinched but didn't look away. She was determined to prove she could help. "It's testing strength," she whispered. "Like it's practicing." Jeff froze at her words. She was right. Whatever it wasn't mindless. It was learning.
A plan in motion. Night fell, and the city outside grew darker, the ruins swallowing what little light remained. Jeff and Katie finished barricading the stairwells up to the 5th floor. Dust clung to their clothes, sweat streaked their faces. They returned to Cherise, who pointed at the monitor. "It stopped," she said. Her voice was trembling. "It's not at the sign anymore." The courtyard was empty. The sign hung twisted, swaying slightly in the wind, but the unseen predator was gone. Jeff's stomach tightened. "It's hunting." Katie gripped his arm. "Then we need to be ready. This building isn't just shelter. It's a trap if we don't control it." Jeff looked at his daughter, then at the 2 men who had survived by luck. He knew the fight wasn't just against the invisible creature. It was against fear, against silence, against the slow erosion of hope in a city that had already died. And tomorrow, they would find out if the building was strong enough to keep them alive. Chapter 7. Securing the floors. "Keep it quiet," Jeff whispered, his voice low but firm. He wedged a splintered dresser across the stairwell. "If they come, I want to hear them before they hear us." Katie nodded, sweat streaking her face. "Feels like we're building coffins," she muttered. Jeff gave her a sharp look. "No, we're building walls." Cherise, perched near the monitors upstairs, called down softly, "Dad, it's still at the sign." Her voice trembled, but she didn't look away from the flickering feed. On the screen, the courtyard sign bent and twisted, metal shrieking as invisible claws toyed with it. Jeff froze, listening. The sound carried faintly through the building, a metallic scream that set his teeth on edge. "It's not random," he said. "It's testing strength." Katie's eyes widened. "Testing for what?" Jeff didn't answer. He didn't want to. The survivors. On the 5th floor, Mark and Elias, the 2 men Jeff had found earlier, watched nervously from their cluttered apartment. Their equipment hummed, cameras feeding grainy images of the courtyard and the streets beyond. They had survived by chance, not skill, and Jeff knew it. "You've been lucky," Jeff told them bluntly. "Luck runs out." Elias bristled. "We've managed fine." Jeff leaned closer, his voice sharp. "Fine isn't good enough. If that thing decides to stop playing, you'll be the first to die." Mark swallowed hard, glancing at the monitors. "So what do we do?" Jeff's answer was simple. "We secure, we prepare, and we stay quiet." The courtyard mystery. Hours passed. The barricades grew thicker, the stairwells more convincing. Dust clung to their clothes, and exhaustion weighed heavy. But when they returned to Cherise, her face was pale. "It stopped," she whispered. Her finger pointed at the monitor. The courtyard was empty. The sign hung twisted, swaying slightly in the wind, but the unseen predator was gone. Jeff's stomach tightened. "It's hunting." Katie gripped his arm. "Then we need to be ready. This building isn't just shelter, it's a trap if we don't control it." Jeff looked at his daughter, then at the 2 men who had survived by luck. He knew the fight wasn't just against the invisible creature. It was against fear, against silence, against the slow erosion of hope in a city that had already died. The building creaked suddenly, a sound like footsteps echoing through the stairwell. Everyone froze. Cherise's eyes darted to the monitor, but the courtyard was empty. The cameras showed nothing. Katie whispered, "It's inside." Jeff raised his hand, signaling silence. His heart hammered against his ribs. He strained to listen, every muscle taut. The sound came again, closer this time, a slow, deliberate scrape against concrete. Mark's voice cracked. "But the doors, the barricades." Jeff cut him off. "Shut up." The stairwell groaned once more, and then silence. Jeff's jaw tightened. "It knows we're here." Chapter 8. The Breach. The stairwell was silent, but silence in this city was never safety. Jeff's hand hovered near the pistol at his hip, his knuckles white. Katie stood beside him, her breath shallow, her eyes locked on the darkened hallway. Cherise's voice came faintly from the monitor room upstairs. "Father, the cameras don't see it. It's gone." Jeff swallowed hard. That means it's inside. The first signs. A faint scrape echoed through the building. Metal against concrete, deliberate, slow. Katie's grip tightened on the crowbar she carried. "It's testing us," she whispered, "just like the sign." Jeff nodded grimly. "It knows we're here. It's hunting." Mark and Elias stumbled out of their apartment, pale and shaking. "We didn't hear anything," Elias hissed. "Maybe it's just the wind?" Jeff cut him off with a glare. "The wind doesn't climb stairs." Confrontation. They moved cautiously down the corridor, every step measured. The barricades Jeff had built loomed behind them, piles of debris meant to look accidental. But now, he wondered if they were enough. If the creature could move unseen, what good were walls? Katie leaned close. "What if it's already past the barricades?" Jeff's jaw tightened. "Then we fight. Quietly. Together." A sudden thud shook the stairwell door below them. Dust rained from the ceiling. Sherese's voice crackled through the walkie-talkie. "Something's pushing on the third-floor door." Jeff's heart hammered. He had blocked that door with a collapsed wardrobe and broken plaster. It should have been impossible to move, but the sound came again, louder, heavier. The barricade was shifting. The decision. Katie's eyes met Jeff's. "We can't let it through." Jeff nodded. "We hold the line here. Sherese, stay on the monitors. Tell us if it moves." Mark whispered, "We should hide. Stay quiet. It worked before." Jeff turned on him, voice sharp. "Luck isn't a plan. If it gets in, hiding won't save you." The stairwell door groaned again, the barricade splintering. Something pressed against it with inhuman strength. The sound was deafening in the silence, wood cracking, metal bending. Katie raised her crowbar, her face pale but determined. Jeff steadied his pistol, aiming at the door. The air was thick, charged with dread. Then, the noise stopped. The stairwell fell silent once more. Dust hung in the air, drifting like ash. Jeff whispered, "It's waiting." Katie's voice trembled. "Waiting for what?" From the monitor upstairs, Sherese screamed, "Dad, it's not at the door anymore. It's on the 5th floor. It's right outside your hallway." Jeff spun toward the corridor, his pistol raised. The lights flickered, and the shadows seemed to move. And then the sound came again, closer this time. A slow, deliberate scrape against the wall just beyond their barricade. Jeff's voice was a whisper of steel. "It's inside." The waiting game. The hallway was suffocatingly quiet. Jeff's pistol trembled slightly in his grip, though his eyes were steady. Katie stood beside him, crowbar raised, her breath shallow. Dust drifted lazily through the air, illuminated by the faint glow of a broken light fixture. The scrape against the wall had stopped. No footsteps. No sound. Just silence. The silence. Mark whispered, his voice cracking. "Maybe it left." Jeff shot him a glare sharp enough to cut stone. "Don't assume. Silence doesn't mean safety." Katie leaned closer, her voice barely audible. "It's listening." Jeff nodded. "Exactly. It's waiting for us to make a mistake." They stood frozen, every muscle taut, every breath measured. The building itself seemed to hold its breath with them. Charles's watch. Upstairs, Sherese clutched the walkie-talkie, her eyes glued to the monitors. The courtyard feed was empty, the twisted sign swaying gently in the wind. She whispered into the radio, "Dad, it's not outside. It's not anywhere." Jeff's reply was a whisper of steel. "Stay quiet. If it doesn't hear us, it might lose interest." Katie's knuckles whitened around the crowbar. "And if it doesn't?" Jeff didn't answer. The retreat. Minutes stretched into eternity. The silence pressed against them, heavy and suffocating. Then, faintly, from below, came the sound of shifting debris, the barricade settling back into place. Jeff's heart pounded. He strained to listen. A soft scrape echoed down the stairwell, but this time it was moving away, slow, deliberate, retreating. Katie's eyes widened. "It's leaving." Jeff lowered his pistol slightly, though his body remained rigid. "Don't move. Don't speak. Let it go." The sound faded, swallowed by the silence. The courtyard again. Sherace's voice crackled through the walkie-talkie, trembling but steady. "Dad, it's back." Jeff and Katie exchanged a look, then hurried upstairs. On the monitor, the courtyard feed flickered. The twisted sign bent once more, shrieking as invisible claws toyed with it. The creature was back, playing with its toy, as if nothing had happened. Katie exhaled shakily. It was inside. It knew we were here. And it left. Jeff's jaw tightened. "It's testing us. It's not done." The sign screeched again, bending under unseen force. Charisse stared at the monitor, her voice barely a whisper. "It's waiting for us to come out." Jeff's eyes hardened. "Then we don't give it what it wants. We stay quiet. We stay alive." But deep down he knew silence was only a temporary shield. The creature had found them once. It would find them again. And next time it might not leave. Chapter 10. Patterns in the Shadows. The courtyard was alive again with the shriek of tortured metal. The invisible creature toyed with the sign as if it were a child's plaything, bending it, releasing it, then striking it again. Jeff stood over Charisse's shoulder, watching the monitors with narrowed eyes. Katie paced behind them, restless. "We can't just sit here and wait for it to come back inside. We need a plan." Jeff's voice was low, deliberate. "We have one. We study it." Watching the feed. Mark frowned, his nerves fraying. "Study it? You can't study something you can't see." Jeff shook his head. "You're wrong. You don't need eyes to see patterns. Look at the way it moves, the timing, the rhythm." On the monitor, the sign bent again. Jeff leaned closer. "It strikes every 30 seconds, then pauses, like it's measuring." Charisse whispered, "Like it's testing strength." Jeff nodded. "Exactly. It's not random. It's deliberate." The question of origins. Katie stopped pacing, her voice sharp. "But what is it? Who made it?" Jeff's jaw tightened. "That's what we're going to find out." He turned to Mark and Elias. "Your equipment, does it record audio?" Elias nodded nervously. "Yes, but it's just static most of the time." "Then we'll filter it," Jeff said. "If this thing makes sound even faint, we'll catch it. And if it has a pattern, we'll know." Katie crossed her arms. "And if it doesn't?" Jeff's eyes hardened. "Then we'll know it's not natural, which means someone built it." The first clue. Hours passed as they replayed the footage. The creature's movements were consistent, always striking, always pausing, always returning to the sign. But then, Charisse noticed something. "Dad, look." She pointed at the monitor. "Every time it pauses, the camera glitches, just for a second." Jeff leaned closer, rewinding the feed. The glitch was subtle, a flicker, a distortion in the pixels. But it was there. Katie whispered, "It's interfering with the cameras." Jeff's voice was grim. "Not interfering. Broadcasting. Whoever made it doesn't want us to see it." The realization hung heavy in the room. The creature wasn't just invisible. It was designed to be invisible. Jeff straightened, his mind racing. "This isn't an animal. It's a weapon. Someone built it. Someone unleashed it." Katie's face paled. "Then that means—" Jeff finished her thought. "There are more." The courtyard shrieked again as the sign bent under unseen force. The sound echoed through the building, a reminder that the creature was still there, still waiting. Jeff's voice was steel. "We're not just surviving anymore. We're hunting for answers." Weston Chapter 11. Ghosts in the Signal. The monitors flickered, their static hum filling the room like a heartbeat. Jeff stood back, arms crossed, watching as Katie and Charisse leaned over the equipment. For once, he wasn't the one leading. This was their fight now. An invisible war fought through wires and screens. Katie adjusted the dials, her brow furrowed. The glitch isn't random, it's a pulse. Every time the creature pauses, the cameras distort. Charisse's fingers flew across the keyboard, her young face lit by the glow of the monitors. "I can trace it. If it's broadcasting, then it has a source. Someone sending a signal." Jeff's jaw tightened. "Find it. Whoever made this thing, they're watching." The signal hunt. Katie isolated the distortion, filtering out the static. A faint rhythm emerged, like a heartbeat but mechanical. Charisse amplified it, her voice trembling with excitement. It's not just interference, it's data. Someone encoded something in the glitch. Mark hovered nervously nearby. Data? From what? Katie shot him a sharp look. From whoever built it. This isn't an animal, it's a machine. Or worse, a hybrid. Jeff leaned closer. Can you trace it? Charisse nodded. I think so. The signal's bouncing, but it's coming from somewhere inside the city. The first discovery. The monitor shifted, the distortion unraveling into fragments of code. Charisse's eyes widened. It's a tag, a signature. Katie whispered, Someone left their mark. On the screen, a string of characters appeared. Project Umbra, Iteration 7. Jeff's stomach dropped. Umbra. He said the word like it was poison. Whoever created this thing didn't just build one. They built versions. Katie's voice was tight. And this is number 7. The implications. Charisse's hands trembled as she scrolled through the fragments. Dad, there's more. It's not just a tag, it's a log. It says field test active. Jeff's face hardened. We're part of their experiment. Katie slammed her fist against the table. They're watching us, studying how we survive against it. Mark's voice cracked. You mean we're rats in a maze? Jeff's reply was cold. Exactly. The courtyard feed shrieked again, the sign bending under unseen claws, but now the sound was different. Longer, sharper, almost deliberate. Katie froze. It knows we're watching. Charisse's eyes widened. Dad, the signal just spiked. It's stronger, like it's responding. Jeff's voice was steel. Then we've made contact. The monitors flickered violently, the words Project Umbra flashing across the screen before vanishing into static. Jeff's jaw tightened. We're not just fighting a creature, we're fighting its creators. Chapter 12, The Mark of Umbra. The monitors flickered again, the words Project Umbra flashing briefly before dissolving into static. Charisse leaned closer, her sharp eyes scanning every detail. Then she froze. Mom, look. Katie followed her gaze. On the corner of the screen, the glitch had left behind a faint symbol. A circle split by jagged lines, like fractured glass. It pulsed faintly, almost alive. Charisse's voice trembled. That symbol. I've seen it before. Her eyes darted to Mark, who was standing near the doorway, arms crossed. His sleeve had ridden up just enough to reveal ink on his forearm. The same fractured circle. The confrontation. Charisse's heart pounded. She reached into her jacket and pulled out the pistol Jeff had given her. Her hands shook, but her voice was steady. Mark, show me your arm. Mark stiffened, his eyes narrowing. What are you talking about? Katie stepped forward, her crowbar raised. Don't play dumb. The symbol, it's on you. Mark's face twisted, hostility flashing across his features. You don't understand. You shouldn't have seen that. Charisse's grip tightened on the gun. You're part of Umbra. You've been watching us, controlling it. The break. Mark's voice rose, sharp and defensive. You think you can survive without me? You think you can fight that thing? You're nothing but test subjects, rats in a cage. Elias backed away, horrified. Mark, what did you do? Mark ignored him, stepping closer to Charisse, his tone venomous. Put the gun down, girl. You don't have the guts. Charisse's finger trembled on the trigger. Katie's instincts flared. She saw the danger in Mark's eyes, the way his body coiled like a predator ready to strike. The blow. Mark lunged. Before he could reach Charisse, Katie swung the steel bar with all her strength. The impact cracked against Mark's temple, sending him sprawling to the floor. Blood trickled from the wound as he groaned, dazed but alive. Katie stood over him, breathing hard, the bar still raised. Don't you ever threaten my daughter. Charisse kept the gun trained on him, her voice shaking but resolute. Tell us the truth. What is Umbra? Why are you here? Mark laughed weakly, blood staining his teeth. You think killing me will stop it? Umbra isn't just here, it's everywhere, and you've already been marked. The monitors flickered violently, the fractured circle symbol pulsing brighter, filling the screens. Jeff burst into the room, his eyes widening at the sight of Mark on the floor, Katie with the steel bar, and Charisse with the gun. "What the hell happened?" he demanded. Katie's voice was cold. "We found our enemy, and he's been with us all along." The monitors shrieked, the courtyard feed twisting into static. The invisible creature had stopped playing with the sign. It was coming back.